just got told something stupid in the shop. But I'll go back to the beginning. There's been what appears a very, very grisly murder quite close to here, about half a mile away, on Sunday night. And it led to a couple of roads being closed on Monday. And I don't know anyone involved. So I'm not getting like next person info, even if that's available, even if that means anything. But there's a lot of gossip. Because there's a lot of people saw bits of it and have like started to put the word together. So the story as it arrives at me from someone who's been hearing the rumours and putting it together. It's like a lad's been beheaded. What? And then that's been scaled back to he's been stabbed in the neck like 20 or 30 times. And then it'd be a matter of the guy who's done the killing has then gone looking for people to aid him in covering it up. And they've refused him. So then he's gone to find someone else to help him cover it up. And this person's given him a good hiding and called the cops. Which is the right thing to do, you know. The worst thing that can happen to you if you're going to get yourself in like super trouble, where you didn't do anything, but you still ended up getting 5 years. When someone turns up at your front door and says, I've just done a murdering, right? Helping them is aiding and abetting a murderer. That'll, in some bloody hell, it's like, there's been regimes in power around the world, even in this country, where once upon a time they'd have fucking hung you too for that. For not turning the guy in. So murder's a thing. If you don't turn the guy in, you're in trouble too. If you let that guy use your washing machine and your shower, you're going to prison for a long time. And it's like there are those who know that and those who don't. Those who don't go to jail. Those who do beat the crap out of the guy and call the cops. So we've got these ins and outs. And as soon as I hear this, when I'm like, so I'm getting basic details at the end of the week. When it comes back to me that it's like, this is a savage old attack, this. Frenzy. I'm like, alright, be over some woman that, won't it? Straight up. The victim's only a kid. 18, 19. How much trouble could a kid be in? That lead him to be murdered. Well, be drug debt, but you can't collect your drug debt if he's dead and you fucking killed him, because you won't be around to collect it. Both him being dead and you being in jail. So drug debt, that has been just discarded as what the fuck ever. Him saying something that led him to being frenzily murdered like that. I don't know what you might say to someone that would lead someone to that, because we've got to weigh it. Even for the murderer, stabbing someone in the neck a few times is beyond the pale behaviour. So I immediately, I'm like, there's a girl involved in this. This comes down to some Rochdale bird, right? Bird is just great at picking them, and has got herself a boyfriend and another boyfriend on the side. So she's likely got herself a boyfriend for other people to know about, and she's also got boyfriends on the side. A social media boyfriend and a boyfriend who spends money on her, takes her out, that neither of them know about. That's what it looks like to me. Because on the other end of that, if you're like, I love her, as fucking blokes do, right? Weird. Guys who really, you know, like that go crazy because they've idealised and they fucked up people to start with. They think, no, you can't take that away from me. When he finds out she's got another fella, instead of killing her, he'll go and kill the other fella. It's like, this isn't an unusual pattern, it just doesn't usually end in murder. But if a stranger's going to come along, work his way into your house and kill you, that's one of the reasons why you might find yourself dead. So I'm like, as it's a terrible thing to say, but it's I can't get past it. It's like a great saying from The Wonderful Deadwood. I'd lay this one at cunt's door. What? Like, yeah. Murder. Like that. It's like, yeah, you've got the person behind it, not guilty, but who set the wheels in motion. Definitely a girl with 2 boyfriends. One boyfriend's murdered the other. And I'll be like, even with only a smattering of just information, I've got nothing really to go on. Right? I'd say that. I'm like, that's a love rival. And as a love rival, it's like, we've been seeing that thing go on since the dawn of time. It's just that most people these days can handle that kind of life experience. It might be a fucking tragedy, but they don't murder for it. They feel like doing it, but they don't do it. Well, that one did. So I'm hearing all these tales and I'm like, you know what this sounds like. And then I goes in the shop and they're talking about it too. And there's this very angry looking lesbian woman with the red face and the permanent anger, like that, right? About 5 foot tall, acting hard. They were talking about it too. And I'm like, love rivals, this. This is, some guys killed the other boyfriend. And she says, you don't know nothing. I'm like, what, excuse me? She says, yeah, I'm an expert. You're an expert? She says, yeah. He says, this is down to drugs, this. So I bought me toilet rolls and chuckled and walked out. I'm like, all right, whatever you say. Drugs? This is drugs, this. They can't handle the drugs. Excuse me? You blame this on drugs? And she was like some woman who was like a voluntary worker, like a little thug. You blame this on drugs, and it's like, wow. It's like, you're a picture of why this kind of shit happens. Because, you know, if someone like her had a relative who was like this murderer, and he had trouble, you know, he was like, I'm fucking losing it here, I need help. What'd she tell me to do? Lay off the drugs. Oh, that's really going to fucking help. That's going to fix your brain, that, because drugs are magical evil. Like those who believe in fucking magic rehab, they think that the drugs are what's driving your fucking psychotic behaviour, not your psychotic brain. It's like, the guy off drugs is probably a fucking bigger problem than the guy on drugs. But no, drugs. You find out, you know, in the end, right? Nutter in shop, who's got the charity t-shirt on, does a lot of volunteer, probably works with kids. What? Yeah, this is Rochdale, you know. Probably works with kids. And be saying to the kids, say no to drugs, but won't be saying, say no to dick. Because that's what makes them all fucking crazy like that, you know. They give something up and they have it snatched away. Because, you know, fundamentally, you know, you put your dick in an idiot, and in the world of chemistry, in the natural world, you've married it, haven't you? Used to be in a thing where there used to be a thing called a shotgun wedding. What? Yeah, shotgun wedding. What's that? It's like, well, you've had your dick in her, mate. We found out you're going to have to marry her because she's fucking ruined. It's where someone like me, right? Now, Andrew Tate, he was talking to Piers Morgan, weren't he? And a lot of the things that he was saying about women that Piers Morgan brought up on that little clip, it was like, that's true. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, that's true too. And it's like, as much of a bit of an idiot and pretty much a monster and a terrible, terrible source of, or a terrible role model. He is. And criminal, and a pimp. Yeah. As much as he is that, he's right when he says that. He is. Funny old thing, isn't it? It's right. It's like, oh yeah, it's like if she's been with a lot of guys, it's like she's got a lot of baggage, and you've got a lot of more to deal with, because you're on the hook for everything. It's like, yeah, that's absolutely true. It's like there's some things about Tate where certain people in the past have been hucksters online doing this pickup artist nonsense, right? And he's like a combination of a couple of different ones. In fact, in a weird way, he's a combination of me and Roosh. What? Yes, me and Roosh. Because so Roosh, he's given up the internet thing now. But I used to be 1 degree of separation away from him. Basically, guys who I used to talk to online quite a bit, they were people who talked to him online quite a bit. And we're at the creator level. And I had a couple of objections for Roosh, and I'd always wanted to just question him. And I don't mind him. I think he's actually a bright lad who's probably got a bit of charm. And that's the thing where he shouldn't be teaching people how to pick up women because it's easy for him. He's got a lot of charm. Same with Tate. Looks the part, talks it, got the money. Of course he's attractive. His advice to you, he might as well be giving advice to a fucking dog or a pony. And that was my objection to Roosh. My objections to Roosh was, first of all, it's like, right, okay, you've got some charm and some intelligence, and you're a decent looking fella, right? And I'm like, I can get women like this, get women like this, get women like this. And the other one is, if you go to places where the females, the women who are there are bottom feeders, they're like, in essence, it's like sex addicts. It's like the nightclub or the club is only like an earlier version of Tinder. It's like, if you demonstrate, I've got a few quid, I've got some intelligence, and I look the part, it's like all you've got to do is go around the place and be suggestible. Excuse me? Yes, be suggestible. Actually, it even pays if you've got the looks not to get locked up for being it's for sexual harassment. Like, if I went round to a nightclub and told every woman in the nightclub that, I'm available if you want some dick, right? I get arrested. But if I look like Andrew Tate or Roosh V, they'll be laughing. Or offended, right? And the ones who are offended, 20 minutes later, they'll be coming finding you, tapping them up because they're perverts. What? Yes. You being suggestive, right, might offend, but it puts the idea in her head, and she's suggestible. So the most suggestible using that technique, yeah, you'll be swimming in women, but they'll all be crazy. What? Yeah, they'll be suggestible and gullible and perverts. If you just target that group, you will get them. And it's like, if you know this, John, it's like, because the circle of people I used to hang around in when I was in my 20s, that was their game. They did that. And it's like, so what were you doing? What were you doing, John? It's like, I was laughing at them and usually rescuing them. What? Yeah, I was sometimes like making sure they got home to their wives instead of knocking off one who looks the part, but then when you say, let's go back to yours, and you go back to hers, there's washing up to the fucking ceiling, huge piles of washing everywhere, cats and kids running all over the place. Oh. Yeah. It's like the internet pickup artist gives you the toolkit to be exploited by those bottom feeders. The toolkit, because fundamentally you don't get to pick, and there's nothing that these guys can do or say that will change tradition and society so that women haven't got absolute 100% sexual agency. You touch her and she doesn't want to be touched, it's rape. So they're picking you. It's like if you set up a strategy for low quality, right, you'll find low quality. And if you're given a strategy for low quality and you think it works, you're going to employ a strategy that brings you low quality people who will fucking ruin your life. You know, there was a guy, still got him on my Facebook friends list, but he's in prison, right? He was someone I know through, he's been introduced to my YouTube stuff through Arena's YouTube stuff. And you'd get the odd word from him or heads up. It's like next thing you know, you're reading about him going to prison for attempted murder. It's like, well, what happened? Oh, well, he went out and he found himself a girlfriend. Having made all that effort, he found himself a girlfriend. And then he thinks, wow, it all worked. It all worked. I used game. And look, I've now got a girlfriend. And isn't she lovely? And everything's magically okay. Well, no, he didn't have a girlfriend. He'd hooked up, but he thought he had a girlfriend. And she was willing to, you know, to and fro with the text messaging. And then he gets suspicious, because he's right to be suspicious, because there's something amiss about this. And gets to following her. Finds that she's got other boyfriends, and then opens fire on them with a pistol as they attempt to flee in a car. I can understand why he lost his mind. And it's like, so many of these, I mean, in the first instance thinking, oh, honey, women in the world. Right, if you like that and you're brooding over the women you're not anywhere near getting with, right, you're wasting your time. I worked out it was a waste of time to chase women when I was about in my mid-20s. And I'm like, well, why? It's like, well, John, it's like, you can't pick them either, right? You can't pick them. And the ones that would pick you are married, aren't they? It's like, no one told you, but all the things that us humans sort of crave, that we need, and we want this companionship, and we want this relationship. It's like, if you blow it between the age of like 16 and 18 and 16 and 21, it's not available to you. What? It's like, yeah. So what you'll experience would be a pale reflection. And something nearer to love, right, is that thing you're seeing going up in smoke where someone ends up stabbed in the neck. Guy like that McFeeters ends up fucking shooting up someone's car. That's love. It's like, that's the way you should be behaving to defend your wife and family or village from raiders and fucking murderers. That's the sort of toxic masculinity that the world thrives upon, and it makes the world a better place when it's bringing down a criminal. But no, when it's off half-cocked because some fucking bloke's found himself being betrayed, lost his mind, and got to murdering over it. It's like, these are crimes the likes of which have been around since the dawn of time. But the more people we've got trying to mount like a romantic life using the internet. You know, I have a rule on the internet, mate, and I have a rule since the start. Don't get involved with strange women on the internet. Well, why? It's like, they could be anyone. And you, sir, you're not anyone's idea of fucking perfection either. So your projection's dangerous, and so's theirs. Don't get involved with women on the internet. 2 times I broke my own rule. It ended in it's real disappointment. Real dirty disappointment. And even though, like in one case, a person I never met, I was really upset about it. Never even met him. And then I'm like, you never met this person. And you're really upset about it. Right? And you're like, felt like it was kind of real. I know loads of people who've had issues in the past with that, and probably have issues to this day with these emotional affairs they have with people on the internet. They have affairs with people on the internet. They never meet, but in their minds and imaginations and in the dialogue, they have affairs with people all the time. Are intimate with them, share truths with them and stuff like that. Happens all the time. And it's like, I'd done that, and it'd be like, well, what a fucking disappointment. Now, if you do that and you make it fucking chemical as well, far worse. Make it far worse. Number of people who do that, who decide, oh, we've been chit-chatting online for months and years even, and then decide, hey, let's get together. Disaster. Because it turns out you think you know someone you do not know at all. You can't tell what someone's really like until you sat in a room with them for 20 minutes. If someone can behave themselves in a room for 20 minutes, cool. Because there are those who can't, and if you can't pass that test of, can you sit still in a chair without being a fucking lunatic, without being obsessive compulsive? Some people can't pass that bar. And in your imagination, you might have been thinking, oh, she's the one. And then, turns up and, oh, God. You've got twitch. Number of people over the years who've crossed my path with the same tales. Everything was fine for the first month. And then she told me that she'd been raped. Oh, she trauma bonded you when she thought she was going to maybe lose you. So she trauma bonded you, and in trauma bonding you, filled your head with nightmares, and now you've changed. And now she's like, oh, I fucked it up. Then you get hold of them and it's like, how long do you give it, right? When you, with a new bloke, until you lay the fucking trauma on them and tell them about all the fucking rapes and shit you've been through. Oh, I usually leave it about a fortnight. What's that art that fucking murders like that? I'm just saying, goes out and just stabs what seems like a love rival in the neck. Whack, 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 whack. It's when she who you've fallen for has told you many a tale of sad war and abuse. And you're the one thinking, I'm the only one who can protect her. Once you find out what note she is. Once you find out that that person's not really in control of the fucking ship and you love them, right? That's where you go out and get to murdering. And it's like, it's a very base reaction, but an understandable one. And you get it. I get it. I'm like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, you killed him. As they say, blind rage, but you did it on purpose, and you turned up with intent to do it. So it's murder in the first degree. It's proper murder, like nailed on proper murder. But I understand it. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying it happens. Understand it. And it's like, why? The thing to look at, the only way to look at that is because you can't take it off the map. There's someone dead. The only way of understanding it properly and even preventing it is to say, how did you get yourself in so much trouble in the first place as to where you've gone down a path that's led you to murder? And that be the tale to tell. That be the cautionary tale. Not, there's murderers about. It's like, no. It's like a complex set of emotional circumstances must have come together to lead that man to murder. May not even over a long period of time, but there's a set of circumstances come together, and then it's a matter of this guy's not been identified yet, who they've arrested. He might be a local. If he's a local and his name comes out, within 24 hours, everyone who knows the guy will be either out saying, "Oh, you're a fantastic lad," or they'll be saying, "What an arsehole this was. It was really just only a matter of time." And then we'll get all the tales of all the suspect things that he's ever done. And from there, forensically, you would be able to say, "Wow, what a monster." Hiding under a very, very thin veneer of being civilized. We don't know who it is yet. But if it is someone local and we know that, it's like, well, we know the story. What if it's someone from Albania? Nothing to learn from that. It ends up being, oh, fucking illegal fucking immigrants, because it's a possibility. That's the word that's already gone round. That's gone to my ears saying, well, thing is, in the old neighbourhood, there's every time an house now comes clear, it appears to be inhabited by whack Albanians, whack Ukrainians, whack. It's like we've got a lot of Romanians now. It's like so our neighbourhoods are quickly becoming infiltrated with these guys, and it's like scrap metal. They're in the clever stuff. Scrap metal guys. Yeah, we've got some down here who've rented a house, and they've come, and there's like 5 of them live in the house, and there's they've got a transit van, and they have got a garden full of scrap metal, and it looks like they're in the scrap metal business, and it looks like they're probably gonna expand. And it'd be, these guys are either working like fuck or thieving like fuck. But it's a matter of, can they make enough money out of that van to continue doing what they do before the springs go on the van that they're definitely massively overloading. Nerd thing. But it's like I consider things on the basis of, there's a mental health crisis, and they'll talk about it and they'll say they're medicating it, but the medication, it doesn't do what they think it does. It does something else. It just makes them sick. Cuts them down a bit. But it's like you've got, to my mind, this is where you, it could be as bad as 80% of this UK's population suffering from a mental illness, and it's on a spectrum of profound, but it's crossed the line. It's like, how many people are getting the Prozac? Like 10 million, 15 million. The COVID thing's probably taken that over 25 million. And then you've got all the others that are drunks and on drugs, managing their mental illnesses. Just undiagnosed, out there. They don't have shown the statistics, so it's like, this is bad. It's like, why? So, well, because it's malignant. Life's like that. You have enough people like this in the world operating in it, as enough time goes by, they fuck up other people, make other people worse. And other people who've got like existing issues, their issues become full blown when they have an altercation, or else a coming together with people who are worse than they are. It's like, this is like, it goes round in circles and it spins like a web, and it gets worse and it gets worse. So John, what does it lead to? I'm like, more instances of murdering. What? Yes. Like this example. Like this. This kind of thing. That's what you'll see. That's how it will eventually, in the end. The thing in life, they talk about organising principles. They talk about God. They talk about meaning. They talk about who we are. It's like, right, the sooner you understand that the organising principle is death, the sooner you'll understand what the world is. Death is the organising principle. Think about it. Think about it long and hard. Death is the organising principle of our society and species. We claim to value life highest, and we do, but we also do a lot of killing. And you know what? When someone's dead, all their business ceases, and whatever they had goes into the pockets of somebody else. So we're now, I'd say most of the wealth in the world's inherited, isn't it? Death be the organising principle, and people's inability to come to terms with that, right? Makes them confused. Because it's like, there are those in this world who are broke, right? And they're thinking, when my, parents die, I'm going to come into a lot of money, so I just have to wait for my parents to die. Not true of me. My parents don't have a lot of money like that, but there are those who do. And if that's not a thing in the world, if that's not driving behaviour somehow, not in a murderous way, but in a mixed way, in a mixed way where it's like, well, there's benefits to that person being dead. Think about it. Benefits to that person being dead. Benefits. And there are those who see that benefit and kill. And you can pass laws, you can educate, and it's like, you'll never take that situation out of the world, though, will you? That the organising principle is death, and always has been. If you want to take this guy's stuff, this guy's wife even, kill him, and then deal with his relatives. It's a strategy for some, isn't it? It's done. It's a thing that's done. You'll not get past it. You can say, oh, that's a terrible thing to say, but it's part of life, and if you don't accept it, when things like that happen, it could leave to you asking a lot of questions. Find yourself in a situation as to where you might be a little bit confused. And it's like, get right with the world. Everybody dies. It's a process of how quickly it can be accelerated. I mean, like, life appears difficult, like a serious challenge. Really hard. And at the end of the day, it's like, without a sense of humour. You need a sense of humour to be able to discuss something dark and it not have an effect on you. That's how dangerous the world is now. That's how dangerous life is. That's how dangerous being a human is. It's like, there are great pits you can fall down that you may never escape from. And then if you come to somebody else and say, hey, I'm having a bit of an issue here, where it's like, they're like, go and see your GP. Have you ever? Isn't it really that you're secretly gay and hiding it from yourself? Maybe that's the root of your problem. That's all you're going to get.